Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, playfastfootball.blogspot.com. Sorry I haven't done video in a little while for you guys, but it was spring football. We started at the end of April, and during spring football it gets a little bit hectic sometimes to try and do everything that you want to do and get some videos out. So we just finished our spring football season this Friday night. Played two halves on Friday night. We won 35-7 in one half and tied 7-7 in the second half. So pretty good spring result with a bunch of young players. So we're happy with where we are right now. In the spring, we went truly, or only, I'm sorry, not truly, but only inside zone, outside zone. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure was we didn't get enamored with 19 different schemes that we try to get in. I wanted to make sure that we focus on inside zone, outside zone, and we try to get really good at both of those. And what I want to talk to you about today is a little bit of some of the misconceptions with inside zone. And I'm going to show you where we struggle a little bit when the front changes and where our guys struggle a little bit, and just talk about the pretty much the common misconception where inside zone is everybody gaps one way to the right or to the left. That's kind of a misconception. That's really not exactly what you're trying to do with the play. So I'm going to take a look at what exactly it is that you're looking for, why inside zone is such a great play, and why it is such a good, hard, downhill run play. Okay, so when you're talking about inside zone, the reason I like inside zone the most, and the reason that I want to hang my hat on that play, is because of the versatility it provides. My favorite play in football or my favorite run play or run scheme is power. I love power. I love jet power read. All right, I love the physicality that power provides. But outside of power read, RPO, play action, there's really not many other things you can do to wrinkle the power play. Sure, you can switch the assignments of the guard and the fullback, and the guard kicks and the fullback wraps. To me, that's just counter, not really power. They're both kind of the same scheme, down, down, kick, pull. So I think the power play is great. I love it. It's one of my go-tos when I have a really good quarterback and a really good jet sweep player. But I don't think there's enough versatility in it to be a hang-your-hat type play. So for us in the spread, I think the hang-your-hat play is on the inside zone. And the reason I say that is because with just a wrinkle to one or two players here or there, we can start off with inside zone as a read play. If we go to two back, we can make it a split flow misdirection type play with a kick on the backside. We can exchange an assignment with a guard and a tackle and a fullback, so we can lock a tackle on the backside, climb a guard on the backside, and we can make it a trap play. And now we can trap an interior 1 or a 3 technique. We can lock the guard and the tackle on the backside, and we can bring the fullback around and make it an ISO play. Okay, we can RPO several different ways out of it, to the fullback, to the receivers. So the versatility of the inside zone play in the spread offense, to me, is the reason it needs to be a hang-your-hat type play in your offense. Now, when you get to your hang-your-hat type plays that you need to get good at, what you got to understand is you can't dabble in them. You can't stick your toe in the water. You've got to get good at what you're trying to do. So, for the most part, there's a lot of people who think that inside zone is a very simple play to run because everybody just goes one gap. Okay? Everybody just goes one gap to their zone side. You read the end. There you go. It's simple. It's multiple versus multiple fronts. If they change the fronts, you got all the gaps accounted for. Okay, in theory, that is not a bad idea. In theory, if things got crazy, I've listened to some very good college coordinators that talk and say when things get really crazy with blitzes and stunts and fronts, we will just full zone the whole thing. That's when it gets to the extreme. That is not what they're trying to do when they put the play in. Because if you want it to be a hang-your-hat staple run play and you want to run the ball downhill, you need double teams at the point of attack. You need to get bodies moving if you want to be a dominant inside run team. You can't just displace bodies all the time and think that you're going to be a great inside run team. All right, so when you set it up like this on paper, everybody goes one gap to their right. That's great. All right, everybody picks that up. What happens is you never get double teams at the point of attack. All right, so your backside guard is always going to be one-on-one with the one technique. Okay, so unless your backside guard is a war daddy, or you better hope that you don't play any war daddies at one technique, you're going to get some penetration back here. You're going to get some stalemates. The best, probably with a one-on-one, the best you're going to get is that one kind of moved across the center, and hopefully the ball knifes which really isn't a cutback. It's basically on a landmark. It's designed to go down. But once the center and the one and everybody else starts moving, it looks like a cutback. But you're never going to get true movement unless you've just got an absolute stud, okay, playing guard against that one technique. All right, so when you block the zone as just a true, we all go one step in that direction and that's what we're doing, you don't get a lot of movement at the point of attack. Okay, so sometimes what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use your center, all right, to help that guard so you can get movement on the one technique. All right, now what happens when you use your center to help the guard with movement on the one technique to displace it up to the mic is now your front side guard has to know that he's locked by himself. Okay? Then your tackle needs to know that they're kind of locked by themselves there, because you can no longer pass stunts off to the center if the center is going to slam the backside nose. Now, I'm not saying that the center is going to turn his shoulders to the backside. What I'm saying is the center still has the front side A gap. All right, and it's going to be hard for me to show you this because my feet aren't in the picture. But if the center still has the front side A gap, when the center works with the guard on the one technique, he's going to take his play side A gap. So if this is my play side A gap on this side, I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to pick it up and put it straight back in the ground. So I am going to smash that right foot in the ground. I'm then going to take my left foot and try and run it through the crotch of the one technique with my hips and shoulders square so I can climb and work to that. My climb back around the play side because that's who he ID'd as the point. So I'm not going to turn back to the one technique. I'm going to get my play side A-gap foot that is responsible for the A-gap in the ground as quick as I can. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to widen that play side A-gap foot 4 to 6 inches and bring it up the field like I would if I was working with the 3 technique. Okay? Because I'm working backside with the 1 technique. All right? When we're doing this, we're trying to get movement on the 1. All right? So the center takes his play side gap foot, picks it up, puts it in the ground. All right, so the center's going to take that play side gap foot, pick it up and put it right in the ground right here. Next foot goes through the crotch and we try and double this and displace it to come off on the mic. When we do that, make sure you understand that we're locked on the 3 and the 5, so now the guard and the tackle's technique changes. All right, their aiming point with their feet and their hands and their strike is going to change a little bit. We don't need to get as much to a near number, all right, on the zone play because we can't afford that 3 technique or 5 technique to cross our face. We already have leverage. We already have our helmet inside the 3 technique. So now when we do that, what I like to do, what I prefer to do, is I don't want to zone step out to the 3 technique when I don't have help from the center behind me. Okay? What I want to do is I want to take, again, all right, I want to take that foot and put it straight in the ground and then drive vertically straight up the field. And depending on how, if your guard really needs help, and you don't want him to get beat across his face, I've had guards that I put their inside foot away from the zone side in the ground first, then took the second one straight up through the crotch of the 3 technique because I was going to be damn sure that the 3 didn't cross my face. So when you're by yourself with no help in a zone scheme, it becomes almost a base-tight drive block. So you don't want to take that play side foot and widen it too far and get the spike from the 3 technique back across. It's hard to recover from that. All right, so take that base zone side foot, pick it up, put it down, smash it in the ground, then let's run through the crotch of the 3 technique. Because remember, if the 3 and the 5 never move, we already have helmet leverage on them. If the inside zone is going to go inside of the guard and tackle, we already have helmet leverage. We don't need to recreate leverage. What we'd like to recreate is knocking somebody's ass off the ball. All right? So if we want to double the 1 to get a little bit of movement, now we just got to make sure that the 3 and the 5 don't cross our face. As long as we stalemate or displace them a little bit, we'll be fine where we need to be, okay? I honestly, myself, personally, I know some people might think it's crazy, or I like running the play away from the 3 technique, and I know there's a lot of football teams who set, let's just say we're offset for a second, okay? And we got the back set there. I know a lot of good defensive football teams that'll set the 3 technique to the side of the back, okay, because of how they want to play the zone play or whatever. And I'm fine with that. I actually like that better because now within the way I want to block inside zone, if we're going to run zone to the left now, remember, traditionally speaking, everybody thinks that zone to the left is everybody step and go 1 gap to your left. Okay? All right, well, that's fine, but you got one-on-ones with the 3 technique and the 1 technique. I don't know how great of an inside run team you're going to be with one-on-ones at the point of attack all the time. So what we're going to do okay, is we are going to get 2 double teams now. When we run zone away from the 3, we get 2 double teams. That's the way I like it the best. All right, so when we run zone away from the 3, what we're going to do now is the center is going to ID. That is the point. So now this guard has the B gap. Instead of widening to the B gap, if he's going to work with the center, he is going to take that B gap foot, pick it up and put it down, take the next foot and run it through the crotch right there. Center is going to take his A gap step and run through the crotch, and we are going to try and displace this into the Will's lap. This tackle now needs to know if that guard is working with the center, I'm locked on my own. This is going to become a base drive, not a zone concept. Okay? So depending on the technique, how wide the 5 is, how good your tackle is, either pick up your zone side foot, put it in the ground and drive block, or if you're really worried about him diving across your face, pick up your inside foot first, then put your outside foot through the crotch and drive the 5. Bottom line is, 5 cannot go in there. When the center's working with the guard, the 5 absolutely cannot go back across your face. End of story. Backside now. This guard has the A gap, right? So remember, instead of stepping 4 to 6 inches or slightly, whether it's lateral or up the field, however you want to do it. I know Chris Salt at Nevada was a slightly 4 to 6 up the field guy. Other guys are lateral. Regardless, to me, all right, they're both irrelevant. I'm going to take this foot and put it in the ground when I'm working a double team. So instead of zoning this way and up, now I'm going to take this foot and pick it up and put it right in the ground. I know I'm the A-gap player. I know if the mic comes in the A-gap, I got to block it. So I'm going to take that zone side A-gap foot, pick it up, put it in the ground. I'm going to take my other foot and run it right through the crotch of the 3. I'm going to take the tackle and take his inside foot here. All right, so he would actually be a normal base zone technique, scoop technique. All right, guard knows he's got the tackle as his tail protector. I'm going to try and run this guy straight through the 3 technique. See if I can get the guard to punch it, move it, get the tackle to tail protect it, overtake it, all right, and get it moved up to the Mike linebacker. But on paper, when I'm talking to our kids about it, I want that thing doubled. I'm not talking, you can power slip, backside cutoff. I'm not talking about that at all. I want that thing moved into the Mike's lap. That's the first way we talk about it all the time. So now on the inside zone play, I have 2 double teams. That's how you hang your hat on a run play, and that's how you become a good inside run team, is you double team people at the point of attack and move bodies. All right? I would never ever be able to get 2 double teams if we taught zone, all right, if we taught zone as a scheme where everybody just steps and goes to that play side gap. You may have less penetration, you may have less mental errors or assignment errors, but you're never going to get as good as you want to get at the play when you don't have double teams at the point of attack. Now, let me show you what gave us a little bit of trouble in the spring. When we work against odd fronts in the spring, all right, started to give us a little bit of trouble. And, all right, for argument's sake, when we're working, all right, let's just say for argument's sake, we are working against 3-3 stack box. Really becomes a 3-4 box in a way, but if we were going to run zone left here versus this 3-3 stack box, it would be real simple for everybody to say, okay, look, take 1 step to your gap, take 1 step to your gap, 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 okay? And essentially what you would end up having is you would have everybody 1 step to the left, all right? Everybody's got a gap taken care of, all right? You know that you're going to read off the backside 5 technique there, not a problem, okay? And when you're dealing with the 3-3 stack and there's a lot of movement, sometimes that's almost a better way to do it, all right? Sometimes that's almost a better way to do it when you know you're going to get a ton of movement, okay, because you can avoid penetration in the backfield, all right? But what starts to happen is when the 3-3 stack doesn't move the way you want it to, you're going to run into trouble. So, for argument's sake, when this jack starts to walk up, and instead of being just an A-gap player like he is traditionally, if this jack ever becomes a B-gap player, especially to the front side of the zone, what's going to happen is, if this jack were to come over here, all right, and walk up to be a B-gap player, if everybody goes zone 1 step, okay, and let's say this nose now goes back across here, all right, if everybody goes zone 1 step to, all right, to the side that they are running the zone play, all right, what's going to happen now, all right, on the front side of that is we will be not too bad, all right, if the guard understands that even though he had his eyes on the willie, the jack comes up, all right, guard has to take the jack, the center works his gap, guard works his gap, so the center now has to actually get over here to the willie. The Mike has to be the guy that we climb up for there, okay? And then the backside guard, if the nose were to stunt that way, okay? Not too bad, all right? Not the end of the world, all right? If you get it the other way, to where that 3-3 inside backer wants to come to the backside B gap, all right, so let's say now you're going right now you're going zone left again, but that guy wants to come down here and be a 3 technique on this side. Okay, so now when you go with your normal zone left, what's going to happen, all right, what's going to happen now, all right, is your backside tackle is going to step to the B gap, and that jack's going to come, and that's who he's going to have. All right, your backside guard, all right, is going to step to the nose, and if the nose works away, okay, if the nose works away, what the backside guard now has to understand is he's in the center's front side gap, the center picks him up. Okay, great. If you follow a traditional zone scheme, does that mean that this guard continues to climb in this direction? Because if so, that will be the linebacker that you cannot get to. Okay? So if everybody were to zone one step in their direction, we will pick up those stunts a little bit better. What we will avoid, though, is we'll avoid double teams, and then eventually, depending on which way the front moves, like in this instance right here that gave us fits in the spring, we will never get to that backer because this guard on his zone track, if he just steps and zones, is going to keep working this way. There's nothing on his zone track to tell him to go back and go that way. Okay? So what we had to work on doing was we had to work on getting them to figure out that if that becomes a 3 technique, treat it like a 3 technique so we can get all the double teams where we want them. All right? So when that started happening to us, all right, when that started happening to us and he came there, if the backside guard and tackle now treat that as a 3 technique, okay, and we get our foot down in the ground and up here, we can now double that 3 to the mic. Okay? The center will pick up the nose coming this way, and even if the guard and the 5 or the guard and the tackle true zone the 5 technique, we will get up to the will, and now we have everything accounted for. Okay? So after we saw that type of movement a couple times, we had to kind of readjust ourselves and figure out that, hey, wait a minute now. If we all go one step gap and everybody goes gap and it seems like it's the easiest thing, everybody take one step to your gap side, we can't get to that Mike linebacker. All right? When we treat that backside movement as a 3 technique, now we understood that we were going to double this to this. We weren't going to continue on a zone track that way. Okay? So it's not safe to say that you can always just go one step to your gap side. Everybody's got their front side C, B, A, B, C on the back side. Whether you're going to cut off the A gap and the B gap, you cannot just line up every day to run inside zone and say, that's what we do, we'll be fine. Is there a case to do that at times? Yes, I think there's a case to do that at times when you're getting exotic fronts, you don't know the front, maybe you have no film on an opponent and you don't know where the stunts are going to be or the fronts are going to be. Yes, you can do that, but you're never going to get double teams at the point of attack. If you want to get good at inside zone, you've got to get your center to understand how to ID the point, okay? Then you got to get your other guys to understand how to work off the point that's ID'd. Then you got to get your quarterback to understand who we can account for, all right? So if you're looking at, all right, let's just say for argument's sake, if you're looking at a 5-man box, which is what we see, all right, a bunch of the time, if we're running inside zone versus this 5-man box, we've got to get our center to make the Mike the point man, okay? So when the center makes the Mike the point man, what that means is we are going to get those two working up, and now these two on the backside 3 technique are actually going to work the 3 technique to this backer that we declare -1, okay? The inside zone play needs to go there. That is an unprotected player. We cannot block him. So we need to let our running back know that if you take this zone play and you go out here, you're on your own with that back. Okay? This guy has to be taken care of with access throws. So if he gets too far into the box, you've got to be able to throw either a hitch route or you've got to be able to take the 2 and run bubble and stalk the corner. You have to affect that guy because you have 5 helmets. You can only block 5 of them. Okay? I choose to go -1 the way we do it because if the back is going to have anybody unblocked in the fit, I want it to be somebody front side he can see. All right, I learned a long time ago when blocking a power play at University of Miami, and I think it was Arquijo, and one of the University of Miami coaches were talking about power, and he said, listen, we gap everything down to the backside. If there's anybody unblocked, it better be on the front side. Every running back at Miami can make a guy miss that they see. Okay? The problem is when the running back doesn't see him, even the scholarship running backs don't break tackles of guys they don't see. So if I'm ever going to get to a point where like it's zone and they got 7 and we can't get all 7, I want the 7th guy to be on the front side of the running back where the zone's going. And I want him to know if you get to this point, you're on your own, but at least you can see him. I'll take care of your backside so that you can see what's on the front side. All right, so that if he ever gets to a point where the zone bends out here, all right, he needs to understand that guy's unblocked. Quarterback needs to understand if this guy is making a bunch of plays, we've got to throw access bubble. We've got to do something to get him out of the box. Okay? Something to get him out of the box. And you will see a lot of tight box in high school because you can't cut the corner. So when you run bubble, corner triggers, and a lot of times the corners beat the wide receivers, okay, in the stalking. All right? But you would never, this is something with inside zone that you have to worry about in high school. You don't have to worry about when you watch college games. You will almost never, unless it is true man-to-man locked up, you will almost never, ever, ever see a team that plays with 4 hands down play the apex players inside or right on top of the defensive ends like that. You will never see that in high school in college football because unless it is just true, straight, dogged out, man-to-man, if they are playing any type of palms or 2-read concept, when 2 goes out and corner comes down, he can cut his ass. Okay? His ass gets cut when he comes down. This ball rips out here all day long. This box right here, you better get used to seeing this box in high school football. All right? When you're a 1-back, 2-by-2 team, you better get used to seeing that box, and you better teach your quarterbacks what you need to do when you're playing that box, because teams will stay in that box and challenge you to get the ball to the perimeter, and when you do try and get it to the perimeter, this corner comes down and makes it an issue because you can't cut him in Florida high school football. All right? And in most states across the country, you can't cut him. So there are a lot of teams that will play that box. All right, so you need to understand, for us, for argument's sake, what would we do versus this box now? If he's the point and he's -1 on zone left, so we double here to the point, we double here to -1, the backer that we can't block is already in the box fitting in that begin. Okay? So either you're going to run zone and your running back's going to have to break that tackle every time if you block it right and they fit it right, or you're going to have to do something else to get the ball out there. Okay? But the point of today's video is to show you that inside zone is a very versatile play. Inside zone is not step to your side and block it that way like a lot of people think it is. A lot of people think it's so easy to just go, look, you just go to your gap side and block it. No, it's not that easy. All right? Your footwork, your hand placement, your hat placement, what you're doing, trying to get double teams. We want to find double teams at the point of attack. If inside zone is a hang your hat play, find double teams at the point of attack. Just stepping play side and identifying everything from there, all right, is not the way to create a baseline hardball play that you can run downhill unless you just have massive bodies up front that all can win one-on-one battles. Okay? You want to find double teams, and you want to find at least one, especially against 4 hands down. You'd like to find at least one that you can find somewhere. When you get odd fronts, it gets a little bit more difficult, but once you get the patterns of movement from the odd front, then you can start figuring out where you're going to get your doubles on the nose, or, you know, if there's a reduction team that's odd and they come down to a 3, you can get your double there. So you want to try and find those double teams when you're running inside zone as a hang your hat play because of the fact that you don't want to just have a hang your hat inside run play that always has one-on-ones. Okay? The inside zone has a lot of great wrinkles off it. All right? We used some 2-back wrinkles in the spring where we kicked it, we trapped it, we inserted it. We didn't throw any RPOs in the spring off of inside zone, 1-back or 2-back. Once you get into RPOs, now you've got a whole nother world of options for handling 2nd and 3rd level defenders and handling guys that are 7 and 8 in the box. All right, but bottom line is, if you want to stay with inside zone and that's your lunch pail play that you're going to go to all the time, You got to figure out a way to get some movement. You got to figure out a way to get doubles. Can't just step one way or the other and say, hey, everybody steps and gangs. Yes, you can do that when you have to, when it gets crazy, and you'll hear, whether it's Coach Mazzone, Coach Kelly, good offensive coordinators, they'll talk about ganging the whole thing one way. Yeah, that's when it's going to get exotic, crazy, and the stunts are out of hand. They don't want to do it that way, though, because they want double teams. All right, heck, there's some guys that fold blocks and block the center back on a one and pull a guard to get leverage on a linebacker. They don't want to always just one gap zone one way. Okay, so understand inside zone is a little bit more involved in that. If you want to get good at it, there's a lot of, on YouTube and other places, there's a lot of great videos out there. If you want to look at Alex Gibbs stuff, or a lot of great coaches, Jim McAnally, the cool clinics, a lot of good inside zone stuff out there. Just understand there's a lot more to it than I step left, I step right. It's not that simple. All right, guys, hopefully I'll be doing some more videos in the future now that spring football's over. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. See you next time.